This is the Paltalk News Network.
The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments. Whether you agree with yours truly or not, no retribution. And thanks to our great friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. I welcome you to the show. In a moment, Eleanor Smeal, the world-renowned feminist, is going to be with us. But before we get to Eleanor, and if you're listening, please wait just a second if you don't mind. I want to ask our own Boaz Frankel to give us an update, please, on the situation in Los Angeles. Earlier today, a man walked into the grounds of a synagogue in West Hollywood section of Los Angeles and fired off 4 rounds, shooting 2 men arriving for morning services in the legs in what police are investigating as a hate crime. Boaz went to the scene and reported from there. He's now back in his studio with an update. Boaz Frankel, what is the latest from Los Angeles?
Thank you, Gary. Well, the latest hasn't really changed, Gary. They are still looking for the assailant. They do have one 17-year-old African-American male in custody based upon the descriptions of some of the witnesses that were at the scene of the shooting. But they are still, LAPD is still conducting a search for the supposed assailant. As far as the 2 victims are concerned, we know that one of them has gone through surgery and is doing fine and is with his family in the hospital, and we still don't have any information yet on the second victim. The last piece of information that we got was that the shooter did not walk into the synagogue, which is what we thought at first. He actually walked into the underground parking of the synagogue, and there was one person getting out of a car that was late for services, and he shot that person in the leg. And as he did that, a second person that arrived in his car to the underground parking got out of his car, and the assailant turned on him and shot him also. And these 2 victims, and of course the assailant fled the scene. And what happened afterwards was the 2 victims managed to walk into to get into the synagogue itself under their own by themselves, wounded. And that's where they were taken care of, and of course, they called the police, and they went from there. So that's all we have at this point, Gary.
And of course, the reason that they believe that this possibly was a hate crime is not only the location, but the fact that there was no attempt to rob the 2 individuals who were shot, leading them to suspect that it may have been hate-related.
Well, Gary, actually, there is I did a little more research about this particular area of North Hollywood, and I have to say, unfortunately, it's not the best area. It's not one of the better areas in the San Fernando Valley. Actually, in that particular area, there are some gangs. It is a somewhat gang-infested area, but we don't know if that's related or not to this shooting. There have been incidents in the past, Gary, in this particular area where people walk the synagogue, and some of these gang related people will shout out to them, calling them dirty Jew and and things like that. This has happened in this area before.
Well, it could very well be that it may have been a gang initiation as well, that they were told that they have to go shoot somebody, and maybe they were told to shoot Jewish people. I don't know. This is all speculative.
Your guess is as best as mine.
Right. It's speculative. We'll find out as the investigation continues. Great job today in reporting. You can see more details, including photographs that Boaz took from the scene at the news site Paltalknewsnetwork.com. Well, our guest today, who couldn't join us yesterday because she was summoned to the White House. I mean, summoned. She was invited to the White House for a bill signing ceremony. But, when the President of the United States calls, it's like you're being summoned, is the globally renowned feminist Eleanor Smeal, who has not given up her conquests for women's rights. She's recognized here in the United States and elsewhere as a women's rights leader. She appears frequently on television and radio. She testifies before Congress on a wide variety of women's issues and speaks to diverse audiences nationwide on a broad range of feminist topics. For over 2 decades, she has played a leading role in both national and state campaigns to win women's rights legislation and in a number of landmark state and federal court cases for human rights. Eleanor Smeal, welcome to News Talk Online on the Paltalk News Network.
Wonderful talking to you today.
It's great having you with us. Let's start with yesterday when the President asked you to stop by for the signing of the hate crimes legislation. Tell me why you were invited and why you are in support of that legislation. It's kind of interesting that we should be talking about this on a day when a possible high-profile hate crime may have occurred in Los Angeles.
Well, we've been working on, for hate crime, we, the feminist movement, has been working on the passage of a hate crime bill for years and years. And, in fact, it's one of these times that you actually see the fruit of your work. But it was a wonderful reception. It had the gay and lesbian movement leaders and the feminist leaders, civil rights leaders, disability, because it covers a whole range of, as you know, hate crimes. And a lot of people don't realize it, but women will be covered in this, as well as the LGBT community and the disabled community. So it's a very strong bill. We're delighted it passed, and it shows that elections matter. This bill, we've been, as I say, working on passing it. Finally, we get it through Congress, but Bush said he would have vetoed it. And, of course, President Obama signed it yesterday.
Yes, I often say that there's very little difference because I happen to be not only nonpartisan but anti-partisan between